Good morning, everyone. I would like to call the regular council meeting of Tuesday, December 12th to order. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the Blackfoot and the people of Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta. We're also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. I would like to start off by just commending all the staff on the improvements in the agenda process. This is the first time that the complete agenda package has been posted on the website on the Friday prior to the council in well over a year. Well, that's not our gold standard yet. We're going to have it posted 2 business days ahead, so it will be on Thursday in the future. Congratulations, Callum, and everything. I appreciate your support. Also, this is the first time that there has been a request for decision for each item on the agenda. And there will be improvements made in the RFDs coming forward, and that there will be consistent pro forma for all of them. I would like to thank all the staff, Mr. Vincent and your team, for the great job. I appreciate it. With that, let's move forward. I would like to move that the agenda be amended as follows. Item 8, notice of motion. Adding item 9 in camera. And I'll come to that in a little more detail in a minute. I'll just have to pull it up. That is pursuant to Section 27 and Section 24 of FOIP. All in favor? Carried. I move the approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting of November 28th as presented and acknowledge the OA report. So moved. All in favor? Carried. I move that the minutes for the December 5th regular council meeting be amended as follows. Resolution number 2312-0501, replace the words adopt the to read move the adoption of, and further that the minutes of December 5th regular council meeting be adopted as amended. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Mr. Wick, you're first up.
I'd like to present to you an update of our QMP, which is the quality management plan that and just to give a, basically what I would like the council to do is council to adopt a quality management plan as information dated September 28th, 2023 by the Safety Codes Council as presented. And just a brief history of where we came from. Currently, the City of Chestmer QMP dates back to 2002, and there's been several building code updates since then. The current ones is the National Building Code Alberta Edition 2019, the National Energy Code of Canada Building 2017, the National Fire Code Alberta Edition 2019, National Plumbing Code of Canada 2020, the National Electrical Code 25th Edition 2021, the National Gas and Propane Code 2020, and the Alberta Private Sewer System Standards and Practice of 2021. Next year we'll be starting all over with new code updates again. The City of Chestmer has updated its QMP to the new template received from the Safety Codes Council and will forward it to the City Council as a motion to adopt the updated QMP. The City of Chestmer is responsible for the administration and effectiveness and compliance with the QMP, given the authority to to issue permits, conduct inspections, enforcements, and keep to a schedule to perform our duties as outlined in the Safety Code Act and the requirements of the Safety Code Council that are needed to develop the most up-to-date information to complete our QMP. It is being written as an educational tool for the staff to administer within our jurisdiction. So saying that, wish the council to adopt the quality management plan as information. And it's been approved by the Safety Codes Council.
Thank you, Mr. Wick. Mr. Benson, is there anything to add?
Mr. Official Minister, very proud of the efforts that Mr. Wick and his staff and all of the city staff who've had a contribution to this. It's an important document, and it's important to keep the quality management plan current. So very supportive of the recommendation that council adopt the quality management plan as information as dated September 28th, 2023, and is attached in the report. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vinson. Would you display the motion, please, Callan, on the screen? Move that council adopt the quality management plan as information dated September 28th, 2023 as presented. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Mr. Wick.
Thank you.
Moving on, 5.1. Nicole, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here with a motion that council accept administration's recommendations to ratify the agreement between QP Local 37 and the City of Chestermere. It was presented previously, and council was given the agreement, and they were to make a decision, which never happened.
Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate your work that you put into negotiations. Labor negotiations aren't always fun. There is an attachment missing from the report. I'd be pleased if you'd provide me with a copy of that later. I do not need it today. It's no big deal. And if you put the motion up, I'll move that council accept administration's recommendation to ratify the agreement between Coupa Local 37 and the City of Chestermere. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Nicole. And just before we move on to the next item, my apologies to the employees that the collective agreement was not ratified sooner. 5.2, Callan, please.
Good morning, Council. Today I'm going to be speaking on the Ministerial Directives and CUF Inspection Reports. On March 14th, 2023, the Honorable Minister of Municipal Affairs, Rebecca Schultz, issued 12 directives to the then Council of the City of Chestermere. These directives were based on the inspection report provided to Municipal Affairs by George Cuff and Associates. The interim Chief Administrative Officer is now seeking Council direction for administration to prepare a report for the January 23rd, 2024 regular council meeting covering the CUF inspection report, as well as the actions the prior administration has completed in relation to the 12 directives. The CAO is also seeking approval for the request for municipal affairs for an extension of the deadlines of the 12 directives. Today, administration is seeking the following motions. Motion that council directs administration to develop a report covering the CUF inspection report and the actions administration has completed for the January 23rd, 2024 regular council meeting. In addition, administration is seeking a motion that council direct administration to contact municipal affairs seeking an extension of the deadlines to properly complete the 12 directives outlined by municipal affairs.
Thank you. If we can display the motions, please. We'll deal with them in two separate motions. Move that council accept administration's recommendation. Oops, sorry, that's the wrong one. Move that council direct administration to develop a report covering the CUF inspection report and actions administration has completed for the January 23rd, 2024 regular council meeting. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Move that council direct administration to contact municipal affairs seeking an extension of deadlines to properly complete the 12 directives outlined by municipal affairs. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving on. Chestermere Community Recreation Association. Callan, please.
Morning again, council. Administration is looking direction from council to continue negotiations with the Chestermere Recreation Community Association and the Rocky View County over. Sorry, I think I have the wrong notes here. Could you bring up the motion, please? Council is, our administration is seeking from council the following motion. Move that council and the interim chief administrative officer meet with Chestermere Community Recreation Association executives and representatives of Rocky View County to discuss opportunities for recreational enhancements and grant funding.
So move that the official administrator and the interim CAO meet with the Chestermere Community Recreation Association executive and representatives of Rocky View County to discuss opportunities for recreational enhancements and grant funding. So moved. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Item 5.4, grants for not-profit. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Paz Wilson, our interim CAO, and Mr. Douglas Nagor, our official administrator. My name is Olivia Hermosillo, of the community manager of the Community Services Department. I appreciate the opportunity to present today the 2023 Grants Allocation Reports Opportunities for Optimization. Through this presentation, I will direct my comments through our CAO and the official administrator. Challenges with grants. Our city is growing with higher demand on social services from a small community relying on volunteers and informal organizations to a higher demand on social, educational, and health supports, increasing substantially the numbers of organizations, businesses requests, and the financial support requested. Most organizations rely on the city for funding to provide programming. Community grants on clear eligibility criteria. HSAB committee meeting on May 17, 2023, canceled due to the directive from council on April 25th. The current status. Grants postponed until fall 2023 after completion of the community needs assessment. City reserved the rights to change the schedule. Community grants on hold until further notice. Our response. Conducted the social needs assessment in October 2023 and results presented to council. Community services conducting research on how other municipalities implement grant programs. Developing an implementation plan for 2022-2024, including the review of the eligibility criteria for all grants and establish a temporary internal funding allocation committee. Alternative support. Introduce community sponsorship program, event, festival program in July 2023. We received 16 organizations requests with a total amount granted of $46,650, with 9 approved, 4 pending, and 2 not applicable for the funding. Financial breakdown. HSAB grants 2023 allocated $129,894.90 with a total of 17 total applicants, 5 rejected and 8 approved for FCSS funding, and 4 United Way funding applications. HSAB funds are allocated 1 year in advance. Vitality Grant, allocated $3,500, supporting 7 initiatives, neighborhood projects that are inclusive and engage residents in active participation. United Way allocated in 2023 $50,000. Community grant on hold temporarily, offering community sponsorship program. The community sponsorship program allocate $46,650 as approved by our previous CAO, Kim Wallace, on July 26, directing us to use the corporate service event budget to provide temporarily financial relief to organizations hosting events. We later received instructions to use the community grants funding. Then in total, we spent $32,700 were granted under event budget and $13,950 under community grants. Future allocations for 2024. FCSS and United Way. HSAB grants with $140,000 available. United Way is $43,394, and Vitality Grants is $5,000. Through administration, tax dollars, community grants, community sponsorship program has available for 2024 $230,000. Strategic plan alignment. The grant research, analyzing results of the social needs assessment, developing a plan for 2024 grant recommendations by the end of January 2024. Financial support. Continue providing support to organizations through the community sponsorship program by utilizing the carryover amount for 2023 of the community grants funds through a temporary internal funding allocation committee. The amount requested to carry over from 2023 is $130,000. The risk. The funding must be available for 2024 to support grant applicants and for funded organizations to have enough time for planning and implementation. Community Services has already started research, planning meetings with city departments, analyzing the results of the social needs assessment, and provide a plan for the 2024 grant recommendation to council by the end of the month of January 2024.
Perhaps I don't want to interrupt such a great presentation. It's got so much information, but maybe we can go to the recommendation now.
I think I finished.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I don't think I have any questions for you. I recognize that the not-for-profit groups funding from the city is their lifeblood. And it's unfortunate that the funding was suspended and the program was suspended, and we'll try and get that corrected as soon as possible. Unfortunately, it's not possible to deal with that prior to December 31st, but it will be a priority for the new year. And Mr. Vincent, a number of questions I will have for you when we deal with this in January. I'm concerned that we're jeopardizing our United Way funds for 2023 by not utilizing all of them, that we could be in breach of our agreement with them. I'm also concerned that we're with FCSS programs, those funds are to be expended by the end of the year. That will not have happened, so I have concerns about that. There was no resolution of council to approve the $46,650 that has been expended or distributed. I'd like to get full detail on that if we could. And I would like to know if all the nonprofit groups were advised of the delay in the program, whether they were eligible, not eligible, And how quick will we be able to review the eligibility criteria going forward? And I don't think we should be trying to apply that retroactive. We should be dealing with the program criteria that was in place at the time of the applications. And then it would also be nice to see the report from the adjudication committee. Any comments, Mr. Vincent?
Mr. Official Administrator, perhaps we have some responses now. First of all, to the United Way funding. May I ask Olympia to respond to that with the knowledge and information she has?
To the CIO, to official administrator, we completed all the 2023 United Way and FCSS funding.
Good. And that would be the 46,650?
Yeah, it's because we have an agreement for 2023, and now we have a new agreement for 2024 and 2025 with the same amount granted
Okay.
for funding.
So the grant funding from the United Way to the city is not reducing next year versus this year?
No,
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Official Administrator, we have some of the best darn staff around. And have all of the information, and they've always been well prepared. I thank them very much.
Through you, Mr. Vincent. Thank you, Olympia. And my comments aren't directed at you. I want you to be assured of that.
Thank you.
So, and with that, I have a motion to place on the floor that a restrictive reserve be established specifically for community grants, and further that $233,350 be allocated to this reserve in 2023, and further that administration bring a comprehensive report to council on January 23rd on community grants, and that addresses the following: a detailed reports and grants of $46,650, and any other grants distributed to date beyond that $46,000, including who authorized the grants, where the grants applications vetted by the Human Service Advisory and Grant Funding Adjudication Committee, and who suspended the grant program and why. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Olympia. Moving on, item 5.5. Mr. Turfy, please.
Mr. Official Administrator, before the presentation by our Chief Financial Officer, I've had a chance to meet with some staff to review this particular matter, and I'm not certain of all the details and the negotiation process that has transpired. And I believe it would be in the city's best interests to allow myself more time to meet with my Chief Financial Officer and those members from the Community Growth and Infrastructure Department who have this particular information, to confirm for myself that negotiations were fair, that for the city's best interests, and for the party that we're negotiating with. And having said that, may I respectfully recommend that the matter of the legal settlement payment from 1538974 be deferred to the January 9th regular meeting. Thank you for your consideration, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent. I have no concerns about that. I'll move that the matter of legal settlement payment from 1538974 Alberta LTD be deferred to the January 7th regular council meeting. So moved. All in favor? Carried.
Thanks, Jason.
5.6. Please proceed, Mr. Turfy.
Good morning, Council. Callum, are you bringing it up, please? Thank you. So this is in relation to the TD commercial loan 915-0073-05 and the repayment. The loan relates to the purchase of the Webster lands back in 2015. The original loan was for $8.5 million with a term of 150 months. So that term comes due at the end of this year. And my recommendation, I request approval from Council for the repayment of the TD commercial loan 915-007305 for $3.3 million using cash from a low-bearing interest investment and restricted surplus.
Mr. Vincent, anything you want to add?
Mr. Official Administrator, I think this is an excellent move on behalf of the City of Chestermere in terms of paying down the outstanding debt. As indicated in the report, the amount of interest that we would pay is significant. And we have the funds to pay off this particular debt, and it reduces the debt limit, increases our borrowing capacity. So for those particular reasons, I certainly strongly support the recommendation that is brought forward and ask the official administrator to approve the recommendation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent, and I commend yourself and staff for looking at this initiative. This will save the city money. And I'll move that council approve the repayment of the TD commercial term loan 915-007305 for $3,282,373.44 using cash from low interest-bearing investment and general restrictive surplus, Municipal Stabilization Fund, RSA. So moved. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Ms. Armitage, please.
Good morning. I would like to take a moment and confirm that I'm doing the acreages first, correct? Okay. Before I jump into the wrong item. Administration has prepared the attached information package, which is a presentation in order to organize public open houses for January and February 2024. I am able to go through this material if you would like. However, it is not necessary. And ultimately, what we are recommending is that we proceed with holding the open houses as per previous direction, and that we ultimately move the acreages into the typical development process that we use up in CGI for applicants wishing to proceed with development.
Through you, I don't believe it's necessary that we go through the material in detail. If there's a recommendation, please put it up on the screen and we can move forward.
Mr. Official Administrator, if I might speak to this matter. When I happened to be the interim CEO some 5 or 6 years ago, East Acreages was a hot button in those particular days. Finally, we're getting to the point with all of the effort from our planning staff that we can go to the open houses, and like Ms. Armitage has indicated, that it can get into the regular process so that we can finally move things forward. So strongly, after discussing with staff, strongly recommend that we proceed with the open houses. Something that people have been wanting and desiring and waiting for some 5 or 6 years. We're finally at that stage, so I'm excited about the next step. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent. Thank you, Liz. I know this is a hot button item still, and landowners are anxious to move forward. I'll move that council authorize administration to hold open houses for impacted landowners in January and February of 2024 as per the materials attached to the agenda item 5.8 on the December 12th, 2023 regular council meeting. So moved. All in favor? Carried.
According to this agenda, it's item 5.7. I'm not sure if that impacts.
Should make that correction if you could, Mr. Official Administrator, make that amendment. It's
That's correct. It
5.7.
should be reading 5.7. So administration to hold open houses for impacted landowners in January, February 2024, as per the mayor's attached to agenda item 5.7 on the December 12th, 2023 regular council meeting. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Please proceed, Ms. Armitage.
All right, the next item I am here to talk about is the annexation and the growth study. Council authorized the award of the contract for the growth study project as per motion 231017-21 on October 17th, 2023. The City of Chestermere has been in negotiations with the consulting firm that was chosen. We've been unable to come to an acceptable contract terms agreeable to both parties. As a result, administration recommends the negotiations be terminated and the contract not be awarded as per clause 2.5.4, failure to enter into an agreement, and that's from the RFP. Secondly, upon review of the proposed annexation area, including the work completed to date, the city's current lack of staff resources, and overall project viability, administration recommends canceling the annexation project and growth study in its entirety. Should council approve the recommendation, a letter will be sent to all parties who received the notice of intent to annex land to withdraw the notice of intent. This will include Rocky View County and the Minister of Municipal Affairs. There are financial implications in that the current approved budget for the annexation growth study is $400,000, and the project will actually be concluded by the end of 2023 with no anticipated carryover to 2024. And the draft 2024 budget should be adjusted to remove this project. And we do have a history in the report of the motions that go with this project, and ultimately, that is my presentation on this matter. I'm happy to answer questions.
Mr. Vincent, do you have anything to add?
Thank you very much, sir. While annexation is always a consideration, currently the City of Chestermere has sufficient lands for growth and development for probably a 25-year horizon. It is this administration's position that after the by-election and there's a new council in place, as part of their strategic planning process, they give consideration to the issue of annexation. So that's why we're recommending we withdraw this notice and just hit the reset button and move forward after that particular time. The second aspect to it is that an annexation, indication for annexation and an annexation application should be preceded by a growth study. And in this particular case, that wasn't done first. It was planning to be done secondly. So I think in terms of a preferred process, that after the new council's in place, the recommendation would be to consider a growth study on which a future annexation application might be based. So we respectfully submit the recommendation, if we can put it up on the screen, to withdraw the notice of annexation and to cancel the contract that was being purported to engage a consultant to do a growth study. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent. Thank you, Liz. Move that council to direct administration to terminate the negotiations and the contract not be awarded in accordance with 2.5.4 failure to enter agreement of the RFP. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
I believe you have one more motion, though. Do we?
I thought there was one more.
To issue the notice, to withdraw the notice of intent letter. Motion that council to direct administration to
For annexation, I think.
notice of intent for annexation letter.
Fabulous.
That's good, I think. Move that council direct administration to withdraw the notice of intent annexation letter. So moved. All in favor? Carried.
Thanks.
Mitch, I think you're next.
Good day, Mr. Official Administrator. I am here today to ask Council for a motion to end the so-called special projects, as I will detail in this presentation. This request is stemming from a directive from the interim CAO that those projects initiated by the former CAO and Council be identified and terminated in terms of any further project work going forward. The projects that have been identified meeting this criteria that I highlight today include project 6722011, which is named the recreational facility. In essence, this was related to the CRCA current rec building site, and the I guess the impetus of this project was the upgrading of that site, the building itself, and additional amenities. In terms of the status of this project, on November 28th, Council passed motions 2311, 2810 through 14, which sought funding for various of the amenities that were being proposed for this site's upgrade. And as planning understands it through legislative services, those motions were not allowed by the official administrator. Carrying on, other projects that met this criteria included project 6721002, the so-called entertainment district, which was surrounding the design of a future entertainment and beach area multi-use entertainment district. And this was intended for the 126 Main Street area and adjacent downtown areas as well. The status of this project, KWL Engineering had been involved on the front end and have completed their work as far as it was assigned to them for the project. B&A Studios, who were doing the conceptual planning side of the project, had completed their original budget and had been advised that further edits may be forthcoming prior to the actions of last week. So on December 6th, in the wake of the directive from the interim CAO, B&A was notified that no further efforts were to be put towards the project, and that administration would be confirming all deliverables had been received and taking care of final invoicing. The next project would be 6321072, which was Chestermere Boulevard, Main Street Concepts. In a similar vein, this involved both an engineering component provided by EXP Engineering, as well as some input from ISL Engineering in terms of road alignment designs. From those alignments, B&A Studios also produced some conceptual work. They had expended the original budget they had been assigned, and had been verbally or via email approved a change order that wasn't processed. However, it did grant them up to $7,000 to continue with edits based on time and materials for their work. As per the preceding project, they were advised on December 6th that no further work was to commence on that project from their end. And then the final project here that I would highlight is 6722012, which was the Chestermere Civic Center. This was located in the Chelsea community, adjacent to the proposed high school site. And this was a project that sought to add a recreational amenity component, both integrated with the school and adjacent to it. Like the preceding projects, B&A Studios had been engaged to do some conceptual design, working from some designs that SBL had created previous. and they had expended their budget on that and were again advised on December 6th that no further work should proceed on that project. So the decision being sought today, firstly, I'd like to note that administration conducted a considerable research to identify specific council motions that represented the initiating action for these projects. We were unable to clearly define those at this juncture. Accordingly, in light of the CAO's directive, we are requesting the following decision from council, that council direct administration to officially close project 6721002 Entertainment District, 6321072 Chestermere Boulevard Main Street Concepts, and 6722012 Civic Center, and confirm to all internal and consultant personnel involved that no further effort be expended.
Thank you, Mr. Braun. Mr. Vincent, do you have anything to add?
Mr. Official Administrator, I thank Mr. Braun for an excellent report. The administration had been directed to be charging off in a number of different directions without clear resolutions of council, and certainly without adequate resources and personnel to pursue them. In reviewing the matter, certainly appreciate the staff's effort, and that we can simply remove these particular projects from any doubt the direction we're going, and at the same time free up the resources to focus on the other priorities that we have as a city and providing the services under the Community Growth and Infrastructure Department. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent, and thank you, Mr. Braun. None of these comments are in reference to yourself or what you've been doing. I just find it very disappointing that once again the City of Chestermere has breached ministerial orders and proceeded with work without proper authorities. And while we say council, I know that not all of council was aware of those decisions, and it's disappointing to say once again that this has happened. With that, I'll move that council direct administration officially close project 6721002 Entertainment District, 321072 Chestermere Boulevard Main Street Concepts, and 6722012 Civic Center, and confirm to all internal and consultant personnel involved that no further effort be expended. So moved. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to library board appointments. Callan, please.
Good morning once again, Council. Today, administration comes to Council seeking the appointment of 4 members to the Chestermere Library Board. The Chestermere Public Library is governed by our Municipal Library Board. The Library Board is responsible for the creation of governing documents, determining service priorities, as well as securing and managing funds on behalf of the library. It is important to maintain a full board of trustees to ensure the delivery of efficient and effective public library services. There are currently 2 vacancies on the board, as well as 2 tentative vacancies previously occupied by councillors. The remaining 4 terms expire on December 31st, 2023, and only seek 2 reappointments. With only 2 members, the board would be unable to operate. So Joanne Burrows and Valashi Kumar, those are applicants that Legislative Services has reviewed when we opened up our committee application process a few weeks ago. And Kavadi Prasad and Diane Barbary are returning members. And we are seeking the motion that they be appointed, the following individuals be appointed to the Library Board for a term ending on December 31st, 2025.
Move that council appoint the following individuals to the library board for a term ending on December 31st, 2025. Joanne Burrows, Vashi Kumar, Kavita Prasad, and Diana Barbary. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Now we'll move into financial reports.
Mr. Official Administrator, may we just take a 5-minute recess here as we get set up to present? This is a very important document, and so I want to make sure that we're well prepared. So if we could just have 5 minutes, sir.
Not a problem. Recess for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, everyone. We're reconvened. Prior to proceeding with the next item on the agenda, I'd like to remove to rescind motion 23-12-1207. All in favor? Carried. I'll move that we restate motion 23-12-1207 to read as move that the interim official administrator and the interim CAO meet with the Chestermere Regional Community Association executive and representatives of Rocky View County to discuss opportunities for recreational enhancement and grant funding. And if you'd remove the word interim official administrator, please. Just take out interim, the word interim. Thank you. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Sorry, Mr. Turfy, you may now proceed.
Good morning, Council.
Morning.
So the topic is the 2024 interim operating budget, and the first one is for the City of Chestermere. So under Section 283(1) of the MGA, it is our responsibility to present a financial and capital plan to Council for the approval for the next year. So I'll go through a series of things here. So the budget has been balanced on the basis of developing the budget was from bottom-up approaches. So I commend the divisions. Each division started from scratch using comparatives from the 2023 actuals and the 2023 actuals and the 2023 operating budget to present a new budget for 2024. The basis for the tax revenue was as modelled previously using the prior year's tax mill rate, current residential tax roll, and the market assessment increase provided by our city appraiser. We balanced the budget without including any additional municipal tax revenue through increasing the mill tax rate. The primary drivers for the increase from the 2023 to 2024 budget were primarily around personnel expenses. And that's a reflection on the growth of the City of Chestermere. So CGI is looking to increase staff by 12 people, but that's offset by the revenue generation through permits. Community operations and safety is primarily attributed to the fire service, and that's attributed to the second fire hall in 2024. The budget includes 4 new firefighters, and there was an error in the 2023 budget allocations. Corporate services has also added personnel around strategic advisory group, economic development, and in the office of directors. That accounts for $4 million. I'm requesting today that Council approve an interim operating budget for the City of Chestermere as presented in this document for $56.5 million. The budget will remain in place until a new council is elected and will approve the 2024 operating budget.
Mr. Vincent, do you have anything to add?
Certainly, Mr. Official Administrator. I first of all want to commend staff for the awesome job that they've done in preparing the budget. It was my information that there had been nothing done on the budget, and I was racking my brains and scrambling how we would approach that. And when I met with Mr. Turfry and with other staff, with Ann Ty, and was advised, to my great surprise but pleasure, the budget had already been completed, and more so, it had been completed without any call for increased mill rate or tax rate in 2024. I know that part of the previous council's objective was possibly cutting taxes, but I would submit to yourself and to the residents of Chestermere that is short-sighted given the pressures of the current financial situation with the increase in utility costs, inflation costs, and we have been a little bit short-sighted in terms of not putting away sufficient reserves for capital placement. So all of those factors contribute to where we are at today. So certainly applaud staff and strongly support the recommendation to put in an interim budget based on the submission. I would ask for approval on the basis that myself as the interim CEO be given the latitude to review the number of staff positions that we have currently in the organization and make recommendations to the new council after they're elected when we bring forward the budget for final approval of any changes that may result from that particular review. With that, Mr. Official Administrator, be pleased to answer any questions or if there's anything further that are of issues to discuss and be identified. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent. I have concerns that there was a number of staff brought on to staff over the course of 2023 without any approval from council for budget impact. Can you provide me with any detail on staffing complement as approved by council for the past years? Thank you.
Certainly. So I'll preface this by saying I was not here at the point. So I can
There's no
only-
question. We know that. This is no reflection on you. I want to assure you. Thank you.
I can provide you the data that I have been provided, in the fact that my understanding is there was 7 positions people hired without coming back through council to get approval for those positions in 2023.
Do we have any number as to how many?
Oh, 7, sorry. 7. 7?
7 staff were added on. Okay. And do we know if any additional staff were added on in 2022 without council approval?
I do not know that. I would have to go back and ask that question. But looking at the numbers, 2022 was down. So when I look at the overall staffing, there was 156 in 21, 153 in 22, went up to 179 in 23, and we're currently at 189.
Thank you. Mr. Vincent, I'm prepared to approve the interim operating budget for 2024, but I'd like to have a good, wholesome discussion with yourself regarding staffing prior to bringing any new positions on. I know some are priorities that you're anxious to move forward with. I'd like to have a good, wholesome discussion with you prior to any hirings being finalized, if that's agreeable with you.
Mr. Official Administrator, it certainly is, and that was the request from myself to have the latitude to be able to review all of the current positions. It's on the agenda for the Executive Committee meeting tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock to start that particular process. And so to have a good understanding, there may be surplus positions in the human resource plan at the present time. And if those are available, then we can reclassify those, or those can be filled. Instead of adding 12 new positions, we may only have to add half that many. So that would have a significant impact on the budget, and the interim budget being approved in present form, then the final budget can be adjusted when the new council is in place. So certainly look forward to having that information and having that discussion. Thank you, sir.
Sir, could I just clarify that within that number, that 189 people, there are vacant positions. So they are not all filled, yes, to Mr. Vincent's point.
So right now, the current complement is 189.
That is my understanding.
Thank you. If you could put the motions up, please, Mr. Callum. I'll move that council approve the interim operating budget for the city of Chestermere as presented in this document for $56.5 million. So moved. All in favor? Carried. And Mr. Vincent, I commend you and staff for bringing a budget forward with a 0% tax increase. Thank you. Please proceed.
Next item is the 2024 interim operating budget for 1538974 Alberta Limited. So 138,974 Alberta Limited is the controlled entity of the City of Chestermere. The intention remains to dissolve 1538974 Alberta Limited in Q2 2024 and consolidate the utility company back into the City of Chestermere. Accordingly, we've developed a budget so it remains transparent and minimal changes from the approved 2023 operating budget. No rate increase, so they maintain the current utility rate. Estimated revenue based on customer account growth of 8%, City of Calgary increases, and net core inflation rate increases. Accordingly, I request Council approve the interim operating budget for 1538974 Alberta Limited, commonly referred to as CUI, as presented in this document for $17.6 million. As with the City of Chestermere, the budget will remain in place until a new council is elected and will approve the 2024 operating budget.
Mr. Vincent, do you have anything to add?
I think staff have done an outstanding job. I certainly, in discussing with staff, one of the items that we need to look at is ensuring that we have a long-term replacement fund, the capital replacement fund. That issue, I think, needs to be addressed at some time moving forward. But certainly the residents of Chestermere will, I think, be well satisfied that we'll move into 2024 without any rate increases. That's got to be good news for sure, given that the inflation that we're facing these days, if it's 2.5–3%, has to be considered to be a savings. So certainly support very strongly this budget and the recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent. Could you put the motion up, please? Move that Council approve the interim operating budget for 1538974 Alberta Ltd., commonly referred to as CUI, as presented in this document, item 6.1, December 12, 2023, regular council meeting for $17.6 million. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Please proceed, Mr.
Next item is the annual funding allocation to support CRCA recreation project. Annually, the City of Chestermere has budgeted $160,000 grant to the CRCA to support them with recreational projects. In 2023, there was no application for that funding. Mr. Vincent, the interim CAO, requests to move the fund, the $160,000, to general restrictive surplus account and transfer back those funds in 2024. This will increase the 2024 budget amount to $320,000.
Mr. Vincent, anything to add?
Mr. Official Administrator, I don't know if it was a lack of communication or if CRCA was discouraged from, but being here 5 and 6 years ago, it had been the practice that CRCA would make application to the city for these particular funds, the budget of $160,000, which has remained fairly stable over the years. In the absence of the CRCA not making an application for funds, it certainly is appropriate that the money that was budgeted in 2023 be put into a reserve and added to the $160,000 budgeted in 24, so that there would be a total of $320,000 available, and that the association or CRCA could apply to the City of Chestermere for that entire amount, subject to the guidelines, stipulations, and conditions for applying for and receiving approval for that particular funding. So a little bit disappointing. And as many people know, I have a recreation background, so I have a real soft spot and bias for recreation. So disappointing from my perspective that they were not able to take advantage of that funding, because I know they probably could have utilized it, but it'd be a silver lining in a dark cloud when there's extra funding available for 2024. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent, and I appreciate your comments. I too have a passion for recreation, and I have direct involvement with recreation facilities being operated by volunteers, and it usually ends up saving a municipality hundreds of thousands of dollars over the year. And I'm going to put forward a motion that is even more restrictive on this funding. And I'm going to move that Council direct administration to establish a restrictive reserve be established specifically for the Chestermere Regional Community Association, and further that the $160,000 be allocated to this reserve in 2023. And so moved. All in favor? Carried. That reserve will be a separate reserve, so it's definitely there for CRCA. Thank you. Library budget.
Yes. Next item is the 2024 library budget. I request council to approve the amount of $500,000 be included in the City of Chestermere 2024 interim operating budget. This is consistent with the funding approved in 2023 operating budget. The library will be provided with an opportunity to present the proposed budget to council in January 2024, as there is a significant increase in funding being requested.
Thank you. Anything to add, Mr. Vincent? Please display the motion. Move that council approve the amount of $500,000 be included in the City of Chestermere 2024 interim operating budget. This is consisting with the funding approved in the 2023 operating budget. The library will be provided with an opportunity to present the proposed budget to council in January 2024. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Interim capital budget.
Final item, the 2024 interim capital budget for the City of Chestermere and 1538974 Alberta Limited. So administration is seeking to continue and complete the 2023 capital projects that were approved by council as part of the 2023 to 2027 capital plan. For clarity, these are only projects that have been started in 2023 and are part of the carryover capital for 2024. Staff will bring forward the 2024 to 2028 capital plan for preliminary approval early 2024. This will provide the divisions additional time to prepare a more realistic capital plan that is aligned with available funding and the city's ability to execute with these current resources. So I request council to approve the interim capital budget for the City of Chestermere and 1538974 Alberta Limited as presented in this document for $9.9 million. This budget will remain in place until a new council is elected and will approve the 2024 to 2028 capital plan.
Mr. Vincent, any comments?
Mr. Official Administrator, there are no new projects being proposed in 2024, simply carryover and completion of the capital projects that were budgeted for, initiated in 2023. So certainly from my perspective, it would be wise to continue the progress. We will continue to do an evaluation of those particular projects, but fully support the recommendation in terms of the capital budget for 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent. Could we put the motion up, please? Move that council approve the interim capital budget for the City of Chestermere and 1538974 Alberta Ltd. as presented in this document for $9.9 million. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving into bylaws. CAO bylaw.
Good morning, Council. Today, Legislative Services is presenting Bylaw 026-23, being the CAO and Designated Officer Bylaw. Today, we are looking for 4 motions. First, second reading, consideration for third reading, and of course, third and final reading. As directed by the official administrator, Legislative Services was tasked with developing Bylaw 026-23, being the CEO and Designated Officer Bylaw, and with repealing Bylaw 006-23, being the, as of now, current Designated Officer Bylaw. Upon review of the formerly repealed Designated Officer Bylaw, being 025-23 or 20, it is the intent that this new bylaw will better reflect the standards of the City of Chestermere wants to achieve, with only minor changes, including the number of the bylaw and Section 8.3 of the bylaw, Bylaw 025-20. 8.3 will now read, upon passing of this bylaw, Bylaw 006-22 being the Designated Officer Bylaw, and all amendments thereto are hereby repealed. So administration is seeking four motions. The first motion is to give first reading to bylaw 026-23, being the CEO and designated officer bylaw.
Through to you, Mr. Vinson. There is one typo in the bylaw. Section 4.8 refers to the mayor. I think it should be major. On the fourth line, major proposed changes rather than mayor proposed changes.
Okay.
And then item 4.4, there is portions of 4.4 that need council approval to happen, that they're beyond the powers of a CAO. And I would specifically look at B, C, D, E. Some of those need council approval. And I'm wondering if it would be better if we give first reading to it and then have amendments brought forward at the January meeting, or do you want to try and deal with it today?
If we can deal with it today, Mr. Official Administrator. So I would submit to yourself respectfully that it's not empowering the CEO to do this, but to provide the process. So you're speaking to item 4.4B, C, and D, sir? So B reads omitting and providing for the repeal of a bylaw. So providing for repeal of a bylaw means bringing it forward so that council can do it, that the CEO would not be doing it, or a provision of a bylaw that is inoperative, obsolete, expired, or spent, or otherwise ineffective. So these are the words that came from the previous CEO bylaw when Mr. Bernie Morton was the Chief Administrative Officer. And this was developed with the assistance and guidance of legal counsel of the day. So this is the wording that they put in, and I am very comfortable taking that particular direction from that previous bylaw. Again, with item C, omitting without providing for its repeal, a bylaw or a provision of the bylaw that is of transitional nature. And again, this is based on legal advice, legal review, and recommendation from legal counsel of that particular day. So we have adopted that previous bylaw, and I'm not sure what the number is, but verbatim, and have only inserted, as Mr. Morrison has indicated, clause number clause number 8.3, that the bylaw 006-22, being the designated officer bylaw, is being repealed. So if that gives you any comfort and the process administration has made, I would submit that I would still recommend approval of bylaw 025-23. And I also point out to yourself, to the members of the public gallery, and to the residents of Chestermere, the reason it is called the CAO and designated officer bylaw, there is a requirement for City Council to appoint the municipal assessor. That's one of the requirements of the MGA, to be the municipal assessor, be appointed as a designated officer. So that's why the joint name. And further, that item 6, delegation by the CAO is empowered to then name any designated officers he deems necessary to continue the work legislatively for the city. All of my comments, sir, and certainly open to any questions and directions from yourself, sir.
Through you, Mr. Vincent, I don't disagree with any of your comments. I thought that was the intent of 4.4. I was just surprised that there wasn't something in the preamble to 4.4 that would reference council, but I'm fine with that if we've got a legal opinion on that.
Thank you.
And With that, let's move forward with the resolutions, please. Move that council give first reading to bylaw 02623 being the CAO and designated officer bylaw. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Move that council give second reading to bylaw 02623 being the CAO and designated officer bylaw. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Move that council give consideration for third reading to bylaw 02623 being the CAO and designated officer bylaw. So moved. Carried. Move that council give third and final reading to bylaw 02623 being the CAO and designated officer bylaw. So moved. All in favor? Carried. And with that, we'll move to the next loan bylaw. And I believe we're going to be deferring this one. So if we could have a motion to defer that one, please. Move the Move the council defer bylaw 0232523 at this time, period. So moved. All in favor? Carried. We then have a notice of motion. Move that administration review and update the council procedures bylaw, council code of conduct bylaw, and the anti-bullying bylaw, and present to council prior to the end of January 23, 2024. Through you, Mr. Vincent, are you comfortable with that timeline?
Mr. Official Administrator, I am indeed. Knowing how capable our legislative staff are, I'm confident that we'll be able to get this prepared and presented and on the agenda for the January 23rd regular meeting of council. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent. So I'll move the motion as so moved. All in favor? Carried. And through to everyone in the gallery here, we have an in-camera item, and I promise you it will take less than 10 minutes if you want to stay for the decision. With that, I'll move that we move in camera, please. All in favor?
Administrator, I think the things that are coming out of the in-camera session will be of interest to those people in the public gallery, and I would strongly encourage you to stay around. Grab yourself a cup of coffee.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you. And we were less than 10 minutes. So I'd like to move that with respect to the city's application.
Point of order, Mr. Official Administrator.
Go
Should
ahead,
we
Mr.
have
Vincent.
a resolution to come out of the closed session? No, sir. I'm here. I've got your back.
Move that we move out of in camera. All in favor? So moved. Now we can proceed. Thank you. Move that with respect to the city's application to the King's Bench for judicial review, the interim chief administrative officer be directed to retain an independent lawyer to provide an opinion on the following questions. Does the city have any reasonable chance of success if the city failed to serve the official administrator of the city, the inspector of the city, or the councillors of the city at the time the judicial review was filed? Did the city serve in accordance with the Alberta Rules of Court, the official administrator of the city, the inspector of the city, or the councillors of the city at the time the judicial review was fired? Is the subject matter of the judicial review moot as a result of Ministerial Order MSD 07623? Number 4, does the judicial review have a reasonable chance of success such that it is in public interest for the city to continue with the judicial review? And the official administrator, in my role as counsel, further direct the cost of the legal opinion not exceed $20,000, that the costs of the legal opinion be drawn from a specific budgeted legal expenses area in the city's operating budget, and the interim CAO direct Mr. Morose to cooperate with independent legal counsel to provide all necessary legal documents to them. All necessary legal documents to them. Missing the word provide between to and any. And change any to all. And him to them. Mr. Vincent, do you have any questions?
Mr. Official Administrator, no questions but a comment. The residents of the city of Chestermere deserve to have answers to these particular questions so that the many questions that have surfaced over the past number of months can be answered. There are a number of legal proceedings, and I'm trying to get a handle on the many legal files, the different legal firms, but the most pressing and most pertinent of these are the questions that are raised. So by getting this particular direction, and I hope to have this as quickly as possible, and I would be aiming at January the 9th, that we are in the position to answer this. Once we receive the advice from legal counsel, it will be shared with the official administrator as counsel in a closed session at the earliest possible time, after which whatever portions of that advice and report can be shared with the residents of the city of Chestermere, we will do so. So thank you very much, sir, for providing that direction, and administration will promptly respond and start that particular process. Thank you, sir.
And through to you, Mr. Vincent, I want to assure everyone that the official administrator will play no part in the selection of legal counsel for this review. It will be strictly in the hands of the interim CAO. And with that, I'll move the motion as presented. So moved. All in favor?
Legislative Services would like to recommend a slight change to the motion. Instead of in addition to interim CAO cooperation with Jeff Moreau's, Legislative Services recommends and any other legal counsel, just in case the party changes legal teams, so because this is a very specific motion.
Yes, you can add, and any other legal counsel involved in the application for the judicial review. So moved. All in favor? Carried. That concludes the regular council meeting for December 12th. And with that, I'll move adjournment. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here.